This is Tom Burnett, and today I'm going over my top 10 remedies how to exfoliate your thick, dry foot skin, your thick nails, your thick heels, your thick ball of the foot. We're gonna help you get that down. We're starting now. There's a lot of skin problems that can develop on the foot. I go over my top 15 foot skin problems: toenail fungus, thick skin, thick dry skin, eczema, athlete's foot. What's the difference between all of these? There are so many different problems: foot corns, calluses, warts. This is where a lot of people get it wrong. And when I see them, they're not even treating the right issue. But you have calluses, corns, and warts. They all look a little bit different. So the difference here is that calluses are wide and flat, corns are pinpoint and hard, and warts are actually an HPV virus. They all start with friction and damage. The wart squeezes in, but you can see the wart actually steals blood vessels, but not nerves, and it has those pinpoint blood vessels. A callus is wide and flat, and a corn is pinpoint hard like a pebble, and it stabs into the skin. They all are treated similarly, but differently at the same time. Bacteria, fungus, viruses, check that out below. I go over all of that, but it's really important to exfoliate the skin on the bottom of your feet. On your body, you have 5 layers of skin. And on your foot specifically, the dead layers of skin make up 90% of the volume or more in some people. The 5 levels of the skin are at the bottom: the basal layer, number 2, the spinous layer, 3, the granular layer, and then the thick scaly layers are the stratum corneum and the desquamating cells. These are the thick portion. What happens is that dead layer of skin, blood vessels do not penetrate into that skin. It does not give it nutrition. It does not provide an immune system. So the stratum corneum, you can see in the foot, makes up the vast majority of the 5 skin layers. And when it's dry, when it's dehydrated, you can see it starts to detach from the stratum granulosum. It gets thick, it's wavy, it starts to crack. That's when splits happen, especially when the skin gets dehydrated. It cracks, it rips, and it can bleed. That means viruses, bacteria, fungus can live on that skin. This causes eczema. It causes infections. It causes scaliness, thick, powdery skin, lots of problems to the body, toenail fungus, athlete's foot, warts, all kinds of stuff. You can see that the blood vessels are in the dermis. They don't actually even reach the 5 layers of skin. And the stratum corneum, that thick, wavy, cracked layer, there's no blood vessels at all. So when it's dehydrated, when it's cold, you get a lot less nourishment there. So it's very important to kind of clean off those layers so that none of this bad stuff happens. I go over guides on my specific skin conditions, but we're starting with exfoliating the skin. The best products and the best home remedies. The one disclaimer that I will add is if you had some weird growth like a wart or a corn that might not be a corn, it might make sense to do a biopsy. A lot of times this is painless. I know that scalpel looks painful, but it's really not. You can apply some cream and you can see what these lesions actually are. If they're sticking around for more than a month officially, they should be biopsied. Especially some people come in with like 6 months, a year, 2 years. You grab a biopsy, that's a little punch, and you look at it under a microscope. Is it a virus? Is it a bacteria? Is it cancer? This is not most people, so I don't want you to worry, but this is what dermatologists do to determine if they're going to biopsy, or podiatrists in this case. It's the ABCDE system. A is asymmetry. If it's symmetrical, you probably don't have to worry. If it's asymmetrical, you probably have to worry. B means border. So if the border is smooth and round, you're probably good. If it's not, as in the bottom, you're probably looking at a biopsy. If it's all one color, that's C, then you're probably good. If it's multiple colors or changing, you're not good. D is diameter. I usually use the rule of a pencil head eraser. If it's bigger than that, again, consider a biopsy. And E is evolving. If it's growing, if it's bleeding, if it's changing, you definitely want to get it biopsied. And a biopsy can be really easy. You essentially find the lesion, you clean off any tissue around it. I use lidocaine, so just like a dentist uses to numb up the tooth, and then you use a small punch biopsy to grab a sample. If it's something massive or a melanoma, I would send you to an oncologist. I don't play around with that, or a Mohs surgeon, but 99.9% of the time, it's nothing to worry about. I'm going over my top 10 guide. In fact, I added an 11th one. These are from least practical to most practical. Some of these I do in the office. A lot of these you can do at home. Number 11, lasers. I love to use the laser. This is such an effective treatment. It's completely painless. You don't have to use a scalpel. You don't have to use a blade. I have that in the office, so I kind of cheat. I know you watching this at home, you're like, hey, Tom, why are you bragging about your laser? I don't have a $50,000 laser at home. And it's true. That's why it's number 11. Even though this is one of my favorite ways to take care of these because it's painless and it's effective, you don't have it at home.
I used to always think, hey, who are these guys using these expensive lasers showing off? I always thought they were a gimmick, but you know what? I started using it, and for warts, for corns, for calluses, if you scoop out the central portion with a blade, you can then apply the laser. It really softens the skin. It stimulates more blood flow there. It can break up those hard tissue bonds. The laser is just extremely effective. You can essentially remove all that surrounding tissue, and it keeps that wart, that corn, that callus away for a pretty long period of time.
Exfoliation with a foot file. An example is the Pedi Perfect electronic foot file. It does remove dead skin and calluses. It's not something really studied, but it is very effective. I've had a lot of patients use it. You can hurt yourself though. So if you're a diabetic, if you have vascular disease, just be careful not to hurt yourself with your electronic foot file. But tell me if it works. Tell me your favorites. Maybe we'll move it up.
The electronic file looks good, but this might be more practical. The shower mats, there's more aggressive foot scrubbers, especially if you have really thick or psoriasis type skins.
Number 9, salt scrubs. For example, a peppermint reviving pumice stone foot scrub. So you combine this by applying salt granules in a paste on your skin, and essentially you then clean it off with a pumice stone with the electronic foot file I mentioned earlier. That's a pretty good product. It's not really studied, but the people who do use it have had some good results.
The salt scrub can work really well because you put it on the dry skin, essentially it breaks up the bonds, dehydrates the skin, and then it's a lot looser for when you actually want to go take it off.
On that note, number 8, sugar scrubs. For example, the Shea Butter Ultra Rich Body Scrub. This provides gentle exfoliation compared to salt scrubs, a little bit more moist. Based on experience and reviews on Amazon, people have pretty good experiences with this thing.
The beauty with these is you have this stuff at home. You can actually make these at home. You don't need the fancy extra ingredients. They break down the thick skin and it's easier to exfoliate manually.
Number 7, pumice stone. There's a lot of different pumice stones. It's essentially a rock with holes on it that's safe for your skin. It's not really sharp. It's safer for your skin. You don't want to use this on dry, dead skin. You want to soften your skin up ahead of time. You want to moisturize, so you want to take foot baths, and then you can use it gently on removing rough patches of skin. Be careful if you're a diabetic, if you have vascular disease. I've had so many people rip off their skin, so just be careful. These are all great techniques, but sometimes if you're having wounds, if you're having more health conditions, come see a podiatrist. We do this safely and it's all covered.
What you want to do is exfoliate that external stratum corneum and the desquamating cells. And then as it's softer, you can take that pumice stone or Pedi Perfect and you just scrape those dead skin cells. You want to loosen, you want to soften them. It's a lot easier because if you do it on hard, rough, dry skin, you're going to rip out that granular layer that's at the bottom there. You don't want to do that. That's when it gets painful. That's when it bleeds. That's when you can get infected.
Number 6, glycolic acid creams. For example, the ultra softening heel and elbow cream. This helps in chemical exfoliation. It's beneficial for rough and dry skin. Some studies support the use of glycolic acid in skincare. The reviews are pretty good. It's a little bit more effective than the other ones.
Glycolic acid is an alpha hydroxy acid used in a lot of skincare products. Too much of it can irritate the skin, but the right amount, which is usually put into these creams, can break up the bonds between that stratum corneum, those dead dry cells, and they come off much easier.
Number 5, urea-based creams. Eucerin, for example, I write prescriptions for these. So 40% type ones that are really effective are prescription-based creams. Insurances suck though. Tell me if you've had any problems getting cosmetic stuff covered by insurance. They pretend that they're going to cover it, but then they don't really cover it and you end up with a big bill. So sometimes buying these are a great option. There's 40%, there's 20%, there's 12%. Urea creams moisturize and gently exfoliate, especially for thick, dry skin. This is good soaking ahead of time and then applying this cream. Studies and success rates are pretty good. Clinical trials have proven urea cream for both effectiveness in treating dry, rough skin.
Urea has been shown to break up the bonds that hold those dead skin cells together in those outer layers. So see, it breaks it up and then it makes exfoliating significantly easier.
Number 4, lactic acid solutions. For example, Amlac Daily Moisturizing Body Lotion. Amlac has been studied, and again, this is a prescription cream for higher levels as well, but it can be bought over the counter. A mild lactic acid solution that exfoliates can also improve skin textures. This has been studied and supported by research, but for improving skin texture.
Lactic acid has also been very good at exfoliating that dead dry skin. So these are pretty good prescription creams as well. You can get them over the counter in certain formulations. They work great.
Number 3, retinoid creams. For example, these are also used for acne. Primarily, they are used for acne. This is something dermatologists prescribe. Now, this is in more severe conditions, like if you had psoriasis, for example. This promotes effective skin cell turnover and exfoliation. There are numerous studies looking at the effectiveness in skin treatment for retinoid creams. This could be a very effective one. I feel like with the earlier ones, I don't need to prescribe this as much.
Now, retinoid creams work completely differently. They actually promote skin cell turnover. They improve the underlying dermis texture underneath. So they stimulate the stem cells and they increase collagen production underneath the stem cells, so it creates a stronger base. This can help reduce wrinkles, but there are downsides. When you do use it, it creates more dryness. You do have to moisturize more, and there is sensitivity to the sun. So start slow, get used to it. So you can see here, you're applying the retinoid cream, and what happens is it stimulates more of that skin cell turnover. Thus, it kicks out that thicker, stronger skin on the outside, or I should say that drier, more damaged skin, and the collagen underneath becomes a little bit more firm. That's why they say retinol type creams can help older people. It helps smooth out wrinkles, and it helps create a stronger collagen base underneath the stem cells.
Number 2, chemical peels. Chemical peels are actually pretty good. Once you get those thicker outer layers off, chemical peels can be very effective. There are some more advanced ones. I link those down below, but they provide deeper exfoliation. You leave them on while you're watching TV. They remove dead skin cells effectively. They are supported by various studies for efficacy in skin rejuvenation.
Before I got married, I didn't know women did stuff like this, but now I have a lot of daughters, I have a wife, so I see these types of chemical peels regularly. I guess I shouldn't include this in a YouTube video or I'm going to get in trouble. So if you have any wives out there that do this, let me know in the comments, or if I shouldn't be telling people. But essentially, these peels work great. They pull off the outer layers of that dead skin safely and gently. Not only can you use this on your face, but it's perfect for the bottom of the foot too. There's foot-specific ones that I link below.
And number 1, prescription strength exfoliants. So these are the higher level urea creams, salicylic acids, the 40%, 20%. These are the ones that I usually write for. They're pretty effective. These provide targeted treatment for severe, dry, thick skin. These are the ones that are studied. These are the ones that dermatologists and podiatrists recommend. But here's the really big secret.
If you have a true skin condition like heavy duty psoriasis, thick, dry skin that nothing's working for, the heavy duty creams, the ones that are chemically loaded, if you have strong diagnoses, if it's documentable, if it's not just an irritation, then these creams can be covered very easily and continually.
The really big secret, if you do this stuff, it will fix your thick, dry skin, even if you have horrible problems. Number 3, prescription medications. So for example, if you're in rough shape, you have an autoimmune condition like psoriasis, things like topical retinoids can be very effective. Here's the 3 big secret countdown. Number 1, consider prescription creams. So I mentioned the topical retinoids. You can use those, the corticosteroid creams. So steroid creams are anti-inflammatory creams that can help quite a bit. And urea creams, like the 40% creams. The reason these are prescription is because sometimes people want these prescriptions but they don't have the proper conditions. So for example, if you use a steroid on athlete's foot infection, it's gonna make the athlete's foot infection worse, or it's gonna make the bacterial infection worse. Sometimes you need a biopsy, you need a skin scraping, you have to make sure it's the proper condition. And that brings us to number 2, athlete's foot. If you have fungus on that dead, dry skin, it's gonna stay irritated, it could develop blisters. So if you put a steroid on these, it could make things worse. But as you exfoliate your skin, you might be able to soak it. It cleans off that home for that fungus and that bacteria. And then it takes 30 days for that new skin to grow out. But the really big secret is there's 5 layers of skin. And to grow from the bottom to the top, for your body to push out that fungus, that dead skin, that bacteria, it's gonna take 30 days. So no matter what treatment you use, you have to continue for 30 days. Any irritation, bacteria, fungus, like athlete's foot, you want to keep applying these antifungal creams, these cleansing creams, these urea creams for at least 30 days. And if it's not getting better, if that stuff didn't work, you might need a skin biopsy. It might be some type of irritation. It might be a resistant strain of fungus. So they did do a study. If you only use the treatment for 2 weeks, the success rate for curing your thick, dry skin, your athlete's foot, your irritation was about 50%. But if you did it for 4 to 6 weeks, the success rate was over 90%. That's the big secret. So check out my guide on athlete's foot, my toenail fungus guides, and let me know if that helped.